Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's look at some of the stocks on the move today here in Europe. I'm Caroline Hepker with Lizzie Burden, and we're joined by Bloomberg reporter Chloe Millay. Good morning.
Good morning.
There's been a jump in Denmark's Orsted after a ruling on key wind projects in the US, a story we've been following closely.
Yeah, absolutely. So a US judge has ruled that Orsted could resume work on a wind project off the coast of Rhode Island in the US, and that is a project that the Trump administration had suspended. So that ruling means that Orsted can continue building that wind farm, which is about 90% complete already, while that legal fight with the administration continues. And that's seen as quite a big win for Orsted, which has been embroiled in this ongoing battle with the Trump administration for a while now, because Trump despises wind farms. And so it's seen also as a larger win for the renewable energy industry more generally, because now that ruling offers some hope to other companies that are facing the same pushback from the US administration. And so we saw the companies like Vestas, for example, which makes wind turbines, also moving higher today on the back of that. And, you know, the US administration often cites national security concerns and concerns around destroying the landscape as reasons not to have those projects continue. But this ruling seems to say that that is not necessarily enough to have those stop work orders. And now the same judge is considering Orsted's request to continue work on another project, the Sunrise Wind project near New York, and so we'll see if it manages to win there too, and that would be another big win for Orsted.
Now, next up, we turn to Diageo, the drinks maker, of course, Chloe, which is thirsty for an asset sale.
Indeed. It is said to be considering options for its Chinese assets, and that includes potential divestments. This is part of a broader strategy for Diageo to streamline its portfolio. It's not been having the best time recently, this company. It cut its outlook back in November because of much lower demand in both China and the US, which are obviously two of its key markets, and it's dealing with quite a difficult environment, a changing consumer environment where people don't have the money to buy very expensive alcohol, where people also are starting to drink a little bit less as well. And in China in particular, there's also the added challenge of growing competition from local rivals. And so Diageo has been trying to find ways to trim its portfolio to deal with all of those challenges. And we had, for example, recently it agreed to sell a stake in East African breweries to Asahi Holdings, and that was for $2.3 billion. And so it is thinking about those different divestments, and this potential one in China is the next step, and investors are reacting quite positively to this move from Diageo.
Okay. Meanwhile, Jefferies predicting storms ahead for semiconductors. How are the likes of ASM reacting?
Yeah, so ASM was downgraded this morning by Jefferies analysts, and they said that the semiconductor sector was facing a choppy ride in 2026, and that is because demand outside of AI is actually still quite weak, and analysts said that disappointments were likely for this year, and so by downgrading ASM, that means that they expect that company to be potentially part of those disappointments this year. It's interesting because there have been some signals from other companies that the industrial end market, the automotive end market for chips have been recovering. You know, we saw a few weeks ago we had Microchip over in the US saying something to that effect, but this downgrade today shows maybe that this recovery in those end markets outside of AI perhaps isn't guaranteed, or maybe won't be as strong as expected. And so we are still very much in a situation where AI chips are in insane demand, but then the rest is still actually quite subdued. And so that might be a bit of a challenge for some of those semiconductor names this year.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.